Welcome and good evening. My name is Laura Milner and I'm the chair of the Voter Services for the Kittitas County League of Women Voters. It is my pleasure tonight to welcome you on behalf of the League, as well as the Ellensburg Daily Record and Northern Kittitas County Tribune, to the City Council Candidates Night. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the League's production and post-production crew, Charlie Sorensen, Karen Raymond, and Dolores Irwin, for making this event possible. Kittitas County League, a nonprofit, has been in existence for over 50 years, has presented candidates nights to help educate county voters since 1980. We are a nonpartisan, grassroots organization that never supports or opposes individual candidates or political parties. Our goal in hosting these events is to educate voters about candidates and their positions as they stand for election, because informed voters do make a difference. The LWV records and retains a full unedited copy of all candidates' forums. If any portion of a League forum is redistributed out of context to make a candidate appear to say something they did not say, or edited to make a candidate look bad, or in any way that they did not actually look at the original forum, then the League of Women Voters will alert the media, provide the unedited video for comparison, and file appropriate complaints with any applicable governing authority. Tonight's forum will focus on candidates running for City Council. Be aware that all candidates running for City Council position number 1 and number 3 were invited. We initially had 3 candidates who had responded and affirmed their interest, but alas, too late, we were informed that the City Council had moved the date of their City Council meeting to tonight. As such, one candidate for City Council, seat number 1, Nancy Lilquist, had to withdraw from tonight's event to attend that meeting. It is League's tradition to allow those who have accepted a candidate's night invitation, but then have to be excused, that they can submit a statement that can be read. I begin first by reading Nancy Lilquist's statement, and then we will proceed to tonight's event featuring candidates for City Council seat number 3. From Nancy Lilquist: I apologize that I'm not able to attend tonight's candidate forum. Due to the Independence Day holiday, the City Council meeting, which is usually on the first Monday of the month, is tonight. As much as I believe that standing for election and answering your questions is important, I thought I would prefer that I fulfill the duties for which I was elected. I want to thank the League for allowing me this short statement. I have been honored to represent Ellensburg citizens since December 2001. Our community has changed since then. I have thoroughly enjoyed addressing each new challenge, from planning for big box stores to creating a more walkable and bikeable transportation network. The city is in a good position to meet many future challenges with financial reserves, dedicated and skilled employees, continual investment in infrastructure, and a comprehensive plan supported by citizens with the codes needed to achieve your vision. Yet I know that the faster pace of growth will stretch us. Housing costs are rising beyond the reach of many. Internet service is becoming a necessity, yet it is not affordable or reliable for everyone. We need to more proactively plan for climate change impacts and mitigation. I'm excited for what the next 4 years will bring, and am committed to finding ways to preserve what we love about Ellensburg while welcoming new neighbors. Please find me on Facebook, where many of my thoughts on these and other issues are expressed in more detail. If reelected, I will do my homework, respectfully listen to your concerns and ideas, and work with you for Ellensburg. I am grateful for your support. 2 candidates that are running for City Council number 3 seats have graciously agreed to appear here. They are Adam Nguyen and Barbara Delmar Robles. As we begin, I want to note that our ballots will be mailed July 16th. Please call the auditor's office if you don't receive yours in a timely manner thereafter. You still have time to register or change your address. You can do so online until July 26th and in person at the auditor's office by 8 p.m. on Tuesday, August the 3rd. Your ballot must be postmarked on or before August 3rd. There are also 9 ballot drop boxes throughout Kittitas County. If you are unsure where yours is, please check the Auditor's Office website for the complete list. In addition to this live stream event, the recording will be on the Kittitas League YouTube channel with links found at kittitasleague.org. We thank the following media partners for also sharing these forums: Ellensburg Daily Record and Northern Kittitas County Tribune. We have discussed the ground rules for the forum with the candidates prior to today's event. My job is to keep us on time and on task, which means that if a candidate goes beyond their time, I will move us along. The candidates have the opportunity to make a 2-minute opening statement. Then we will ask 6 prepared questions that we sourced from the community. We provided these questions to the candidates a few hours ago, and they have 60 to 90 seconds, depending on the question complexity, to respond to each question. Then we will move on to 3 live screen audience questions, depending on time availability. The candidates will have 90 seconds to respond to each of these questions. The forum will conclude with a 60-second closing statement by each candidate. Should an opponent wish to rebut the response, they must signal they wish to do so. Once recognized, they will have 30 seconds. Only 1 rebuttal per question will be permitted. We will rotate the order that the questions are asked, so no one candidate must always answer first. If I make an error in this regard, please let me know. If you are viewing this live, you can submit a question by texting to 509-654-9030. So that's 509-654-9030. The questions must be for all candidates. League members will review the questions. We may combine or edit for clarity, nonpartisanship, and time limitations. Our primary voters guide will go live on our website, kittitasleague.org, by July 15th. The guide includes links to candidates' campaign websites if provided, financial filings, completed candidates, League of Women voter questionnaires, and more. We urge you to check it out and share it with other voters. At this point, we would like to welcome Anna Nguyen and Barbara Delmar Robles to this forum. Thank you both for taking the time to be with us, and thank you for your willingness to serve our community on City Council seat number 3. As we discussed earlier, I will alternate who answers questions first. We will begin with opening statements. Mr. Nguyen, we start with you. You have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you, Laura. I'm Madam Nguyen. Been a member of Ellensburg pretty much my entire life, off and on since birth. I was actually born here. Joined the military right out of high school, traveled the world, was in Iraq in 2004, 2005, in Guatemala in 2003, did a few different local events when I was stationed in North Carolina with Habitat for Humanity, among other deployment issues such as Virginia. We did a C-SPAN building there. I look forward to raising my family here in the Valley. I've got 2 children from a previous marriage and 2 from my current fiance. I just want to be more involved in the community. I want to be that leader, that voice for everybody that's here. That they can come to me. They can know that they have an ear that's going to present well to the other people on the council. I look forward to serving everybody here, and most importantly, making Ellensburg a more inclusive place for everybody. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Ms. Robles, you have 2 minutes to make your opening statement.
Thank you so much, Laura, and good evening, friends and neighbors. My name is Barbara Robles. I am born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico, but I feel blessed to call Ellensburg home. I am a higher education administrator and a community leader. I'm committed to equity and economic growth and development for all of us that get to call the city our home. And please feel free to check out my website where you can read a little bit more about my stances on different issues. I'm always accessible via social media and email, also to answer any questions. I do hope with my fiance to raise a family here, and Ellensburg is and will always be home to us. I will now say my statement in Spanish, just because I run a bilingual campaign. Buenas noches, amigos y vecinos. Mi nombre es Bárbara Robles. Soy nacida y criada en San Juan, Puerto Rico, pero estoy bendecida de poder llamar Ellensburg mi hogar. Soy una administradora a nivel universitario y una líder comunitaria comprometida con la igualdad y el desarrollo y el crecimiento económico de nuestra ciudad. Por favor, siéntanse la libertad de visitar mi página web, está en español, ahí van a poder leer un poquito más de mí y de todas las cosas por las que estoy apasionada, y siéntanse también en la libertad de enviarme correos electrónicos y mensajes por Facebook para poder comunicarse conmigo. Mi prometido y yo esperamos poder estar en Ellensburg y criar a nuestra familia allí. Es y será siempre nuestro hogar. Gracias. Thank you.
All right, we begin with question number 1. How were you involved in city council before running? How have you been involved in city council since filing for this position? Ms. Robles, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you, Laura. So prior to running for Ellensburg City Council, I have been involved in many advisory boards, and I do a lot of community service in the city. So I was an executive member of Central Washington Justice for Our Neighbors. Currently, I am on the advisory board of Skookum Kids Central Washington, which is a nonprofit organization that focuses on creating resources for children in foster care, especially within Catastrophic County. And I am also on the advisory board of Hospice Friends, which focuses on really taking care of our elderly and supporting those with terminal illnesses within our community.
Thank you.
Prior to that,
Sorry.
I'm so sorry, Laura.
Sorry, I apologize.
I was a teacher, a Spanish high school teacher in the county. I'm a translator and interpreter for our migrant families here in the county in 3 of our districts. So I've remained very active in the community throughout the years. Thank you.
Thank you. Repeating the question for you, Mr. Nguyen, how were you involved in city council before running? How have you been involved in city council since filing for this position? You have 60 seconds.
Up until filing, I really did not have much of an interaction with city council or city government. I haven't done nearly as many volunteer opportunities as I would like since I left the Marines. Not having a degree has really hindered my ability to not work full-time or 2 jobs at a time. So I haven't put forth as much volunteer time as I would like. Since I filed for the position, I have been very active with the city council, attending their regular meetings, their race unity day that they did a couple weeks back. I've been out to the farmers market several times with my flyers, handing them out. I've met with several of the members of city council, to include Bruce himself. And I'm going to continue doing that moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Question number 2. Has Ellensburg done enough to prepare its citizens for catastrophic wildfire? What do you think needs to be done? Mr. Nguyen, we begin with you. You have 90 seconds.
Thank you. So I think that they've come a long way in the last couple of years, especially since the Taylor Bridge fire, which was about 7 years ago. During that event, I actually lived out in the country, and we were evacuating everybody. I went out several times with my truck to get more people and more stuff, more pets, more animals, whatever I could to get them out of that fire area. It actually burned right up to our doorstep. I feel the city has done a tremendously good job, as this last weekend has kind of shown us with the Teanaway fire, as well as out, oh gosh, what is that area? Wilson Creek area. There was a couple of big fires there. In fact, that Wilson Creek one was right at my mom's front door this last weekend. They were able to get them contained very fast. They were out there with trucks to help evacuate people as need be. They notified them promptly. And I feel like they did a tremendous job at getting that ready and going.
Thank you. Repeating the question, has Ellensburg done enough to prepare its citizens for catastrophic wildfire? What do you think needs to be done? Ms. Robles, you have 90 seconds.
So we know that fires are getting both more extreme and more frequent. I do believe that we really need to empower and embolden our firefighters and our regional fire authority by making sure that they receive the correct and adequate resources. And I was actually recently speaking to Rich Elliott about this. I don't think as City Council we have done that great of a job of EMS and City Council communicating. I do believe that there are routine reports that need to be done, and they haven't, and the communication has not been as frequent as we would like. And obviously, as a City Council member, I would seek to really hear about those reports and see how we can, as City Council members, provide more resources and more aid to our regional firefighters.
Thank you. Going on to question number 3. How would you describe the economy of Ellensburg, and what would you do to diversify the economy? Ms. Robles, you start this round. You have 60 seconds.
So in thinking of what comprises Ellensburg economy, I would mostly say small businesses and farming, and obviously the university community. But diversifying our economics, or fostering economic growth and development, I would really like to see City Council work with our local business owners and even our school district in pushing the career and technical education curriculum, because it allows us to create spaces for these young students that are graduating to be able to have these jobs. We want to be able to not only create the jobs, but give the jobs to the people that already live here. And so career and technical education recognizes that the 4-year pathway is not for everyone, and we would work with our community members and local business owners to provide those opportunities for our students.
Thank you. Repeating the question, how would you describe the economy of Ellensburg, and what would you do to diversify the economy? Mr. Nguyen, you have 60 seconds.
One of the things that I would like to do as a city councilman was work with the county to expand on the airport, to be able to bring in more businesses, more revenue, more accessibility to other goods. When Yakima did theirs, they saw a spike in their economy as well. There's a lot of avenue of approach there. I'd like to expand on that, speak with more of the city council, the county commissioners, and work with them on expanding that, making it a more of an area for everybody. I feel that'll bring in more diversity to our area from everywhere around us.
Thank you. Question number 4. As you know, Ellensburg has a diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. This is a 2-part question. How would you describe the progress of this initiative, and how would you define substantial progress for Ellensburg in being a welcoming town for all peoples? Mr. Nguyen, we begin with you. You have 90 seconds to respond.
So I've been doing a little bit of reading on the initiative there. From what I understand on it, it's a great initiative. It does have a lot of ground to cover, but it does have the potential is there. I would love to work with them more to expand things like the Race Unity Day that I attended. I would like to see something like a farmer's market style, bring the ethnicities out, teach us the different ways and different cultures and art or food or whatever it is that they offer. That would, I think, help include a lot of more people. That would also eliminate some of the worry of not knowing or understanding, because we would be able to deal directly with people of those races or backgrounds or anything there. So that's just one idea that I had on that one. but I am going to follow up more, as I said earlier, with doing more with the city council, as well as the each of the community outreach programs like that.
Thank you. Repeating the question. As you know, Ellensburg has a diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. This is a two-part question. How would you describe the progress of this initiative, and how would you define substantial progress for Ellensburg in being a welcoming town for all peoples? Ms. Robles, you have 90 seconds.
So the initiative is great. Have we made progress? Most certainly. But do we have a long way to go? Yes. And that is a resounding yes. We need to be looking at our hiring practices. We need to be looking at our margins for people of color in our positions. We need to be looking at success rates. We need to be looking at translation services, just really simple things that would really make a difference and make Ellensburg, not just for people of color, but for also the ASL community, for example, more accessible and make Ellensburg more welcoming in general. I think that our city is ready to have a multilingual and multiracial candidate on their city council that represents different opinions, that represents or brings to the table different stories, and appreciate other areas that maybe other council members have not considered because it is not part of their reality. But can we do better? Most certainly. If you drive by 5th and Poplar today, you will find a swastika that was graffitied on a garage door just today. So we have a long ways to go, but I am very hopeful for our community because I have seen the desire to learn and grow.
Thank you. Question number 5. Spring can be particularly challenging with regard to flooding in parts of Ellensburg. What are your insights as to how this can be stopped or at least mitigated in the future? Ms. Robles, over to you. You have 90 seconds.
So with spring flooding, I can name specifically Park Lane Avenue, for example. I know of some students that would have to walk to school in knee-deep water. So there's definitely ways to mitigate this. There's sustainable drainage. We can look into permeable sidewalks or permeable pavement, more gardens, definitely. And partnering with our local initiatives that are looking into sustainability would definitely be a way to start this conversation on how to mitigate the flooding that we do have in our city currently.
Thank you. Repeating the question, spring can be particularly challenging with regard to flooding in parts of Ellensburg. What are your insights as to how this can be stopped or at least mitigated in the future? Mr. Nguyen, you have 90 seconds.
My current house is actually in West Ellensburg, which anybody that drives out here to see either Rotary Park or just the area in general knows that the intersection out here gets it every single year to the point where they actually have to shut the intersection down. A few years, they put in a floodplain just to the west of us here. And then last year, they actually went and they dug out the creek. They did bridge embankments. They did a bunch of different work to allow the flow of the creeks from backing up to actually flow where they're supposed to. I feel like we need to expand on that, actually get out there and do the same with the canals all around town, not just in West Ellensburg. They did a great job on this little creek here, but it does need to happen more throughout. It can't just be one area. But that is, those are the exact ideas I had for them to do, and they accomplished it. And I didn't even have to go and raise my hand and say, hey, let's do this. So I think that's great. I think they're on a good path.
Thank you very much. Question number 6. What is your position on the multi-story studio 50-plus unit apartment building proposed for the community gardens block at First and Pine? And Mr. Nguyen, we begin with you. You have 90 seconds.
Okay, yeah, the only issue I have with this one is I would like to speak directly with the people that are currently using that community garden. I know there's options on the table of moving them to the other garden on the other side of town. The buses do ride there, but I would like to hear directly from them because they are the ones that are being directly impacted. As for the building itself, we absolutely need it. We need the affordable housing. Making it all studios, I feel is a little off point because it's not just individuals or couples that need it. There's people that actually have families that need 2-3 bedrooms that need it just as much. There is a study that shows that they need 1 in studio bedrooms. So I feel like that is where they're leaning with that one is because of that study. However, it's not just one individual particular area. So I feel like we need to kind of maybe look at making the upper level 2 or 3 bedrooms and, make it more universal for all. I'm not too keen on the whole walk up, but I understand the affordable housing part. It needs to be affordable to be able to keep it affordable for other people. So not putting an elevator in there does help with that. But I do feel like that's also going to hinder a lot of people that need affordable housing because they're not going to be able to walk up and down flights of stairs all day long.
Thank you. Repeating the question. What is your position on the multi-story studio 50-plus unit apartment building proposed for the Community Gardens block, First and Pine? Ms. Robles, you have 90 seconds.
So I will start by saying that affordable housing is an economic benefit. I do believe that this topic is on the City Council's agenda for today or for tonight, that they will be looking into the different proposals. But the building, as it is proposed, meets all city codes. So it is primed to be built just because it meets the codes. What I do think we should discuss a little bit more firmly is having mixed apartments instead of studios, but making that ground floor accessible for people with disabilities. We do have a large community of people with disabilities that wouldn't be able to access the top floors. And I understand the worry about the community garden. Community gardens bring in so many benefits, but there are alternative places where we could have this community garden, and we need the affordable housing for multiple reasons. And this neighborhood will evolve over time, and so I think that having the community garden put in an alternative place and doing some mix-ins with the apartments that will better blend in with the community that is already established there would be the best way to go.
Thank you. We've been collecting questions from our YouTube audience. I want to remind you that we only have time for up to 3 questions. Our volunteers may have combined or reworded the questions to maintain nonpartisanship or for clarity. If we do not get to your question, remember, you can always reach out to the candidates via email and ask them directly. So beginning with our first YouTube question, what is the city's #1 infrastructure need and how would you address it? So repeating, what is the city's #1 infrastructure need and how would you address it? So Ms. Robles, you begin this section. You have 90 seconds to respond.
I would say that the city's #1 infrastructure need as of right now is looking at broadband. We don't have stable internet that goes into our more rural areas, and that's something we really need to look into. I do believe that there are companies or groups that City Council has communicated with, and it's something that is in the plans, but we need to do a better job of making that a priority and moving it forward, especially after COVID. We are looking at having more at-home employment. We need to be able to guarantee our residents solid internet connections. So broadband will definitely, for me, be the #1 infrastructure issue.
All right, repeating the question, what is the city's #1 infrastructure need and how would you address it? Mr. Nguyen, you have 90 seconds.
I agree. The broadband is a definite need. I can't tell you how many times my service has gone out and I've got pretty reliable connection to the pole. One of the other things I feel we need is more of a parking structure downtown to help benefit the business owners that are working there. Right now, they did bump up the time limit to 3-hour parking, but that's still, they're either having to walk from blocks away or not go downtown at all, or move their business or stop their business and go move their car every couple of hours, which from a few of my friends that own salons downtown, is not a very feasible thing to do. So I would really focus on those mainly. Broadband, they do have a few plans already in the works to get more companies involved with that. As for downtown, I haven't seen any plans for any kind of a parking arrangement to mitigate that stress on business owners.
Thank you. All right, a second question from the audience. In your view, how should the city have handled the Black Lives Matter situation? Repeating the question. In your view, how should the city have handled the Black Lives Matter situation? Mr. Nguyen, we begin with you. You have 90 seconds.
That's a real tough one. There's a lot of different avenues of approach to this one, because doing murals that are just going to get defaced is just going to spark even more of a outrage from both sides of the aisle. We need to be able to sit down as adults, discuss the differences, and move forward on what's going to be an actual productive way of making it so. And whether it's police reform or just education or anything at all, it needs to be an open conversation about it, not just a one-way street. And I feel both sides of that aisle are doing that exact thing. They just want to bulldoze and get everything done one way, and they're not willing to look at anything at all. It's such a touchy situation, though. I really don't know where to start, but being on city council and working with the initiatives that are already there, I think is a great starting point for me as well as Ellensburg to grow and to be more diverse.
Thank you. Repeating the question. In your view, how should the city have handled the Black Lives Matter situation? Ms. Robles, you have 90 seconds.
I think we failed to really listen to each other on both sides of the spectrum. But murals don't have to be defaced if we really respect one another and we seek to learn from our differences and engage in that actively. I think there has been a lot of misinformation and disinformation about what Black Lives Matter really means. And so we failed to listen to each other and have an open conversation about what it is to navigate white spaces as a person of color in the city of Ellensburg. I don't think a lot of people ask that question because they don't have to. It is not part of their reality. So definitely education is a way to go. But I think in this day and age, it is no longer beneficial or even fair to our citizens of color and our residents of color in Ellensburg to be non-racist. It is time to be anti-racist, and that is what it's all about. But definitely starting with education and an open conversation, it's the beginning point. And as a woman of color in city council, I am hoping that I can be the one that puts that foot in the door and brings both sides of the spectrum together.
Thank you. Our third and final question. How would you get more community input and involvement in issues that become before the city council? So repeating that. How would you get more community input and involvement in issues that come before the city council? Ms. Robles, we begin with you. You have 90 seconds.
Thank you, Laura. This is such a broad answer for a minute and a half, but I'll just give you a quick example. When it comes to business owners, for example, there's so much that is discussed within City Council, permits, for example, and the process that you have to go through to apply for permits, or just to do anything around your business. So creating a task force of our local business owners where we could really bring them together and have in-depth conversations about what is it that they need and what is it that they need from City Council would definitely benefit our community. I think it would empower our business owners to feel like they belong here, like we want them here, and we are willing to work with them to bring business to their businesses. And so, like I said, a task force would be a great way to start to create those spaces for their voices to be heard and acknowledged within City Council. I don't think, the 60-second comments at our meetings is enough, because as someone who has never owned a business within Ellensburg, I cannot advocate for them better than they can. So I would love to be able to sit with them and have them come in, tell me what they need, and we can work on a plan together.
Thank you. Repeating the question, how would you get more community input and involvement in issues that come before the City Council? Mr. Nguyen, you have 90 seconds.
One of the things that I've been doing recently is going out to either the businesses or to the farmers market and speaking with the local people, because I want to hear directly from them where they're thinking the issues are, so that when I become elected, I can actually go there and say, this is the issues that are presented to our small businesses here in town, which is vital for this small of a town. I plan on to continue doing that. I want to hear directly from them on every aspect, whether it's issues with their permits, to issues with their parking, to anything. I want to hear directly from them. That'll make me a better leader overall, and it'll make me able to make a better decision when it comes time to making a decision on things like parking or affordable housing. If we don't know it directly from them, then we're just making things up and we're damaging them in the long run. So that's my plan moving forward, is to be more active with them in the community.
Thank you. All right. So we are at the closing statement portion of our evening. So, Mr. Nguyen, we begin with you. You have 60 seconds to make your closing statement.
I'd just like to thank you all for this great opportunity, not only to do this forum right here, but to potentially serve the community of Ellensburg. As a longtime member of Ellensburg, it truly is my heart and my home to live here, to raise my family here, and now to serve Ellensburg. I look forward to it. I've got a lot of friends that are out there that run businesses that know that I'm very truthful with what I say. I plan on doing whatever I can to continue making Ellensburg a great place. I can always be reached on my website at awinforellensburg.com. There's an email link in there. There's contact information on my Facebook page. I'm very active with responses, and we'll get back to you within the day of that I receive it. Thank you all.
Thank you. Ms. Robles, you have 60 seconds for your closing statement.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to my ideas today, even if for a short time. Voting for me is a vote for equity, a vote for inclusion, and a vote for unity. I am incredibly grateful for those of you that have supported me up to now and believed in these hands that come to plant new seeds. And I hope to continue working with you, to continue listening to you and your stories, and to represent you in City Council really soon. Muchísimas gracias a todos los que han estado escuchando en la noche de hoy mis ideas. Votar por mí es un voto para la igualdad, para la inclusión, para la unión. Estoy increíblemente agradecida por todas las personas que me han apoyado y han creído en estas manos que vienen a sembrar nuevas semillas para nuestra ciudad. Así que muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank Adam Nguyen and Barbara Del Mar Robles for sharing their views and their willingness to serve as Kittitas County reading an old script, to serve on City Council in seat number 3. We want to thank our co-sponsors, the Ellensburg Daily Record newspaper and Northern Kittitas County Tribune, for sharing the information about these forums throughout the voting season. Finally, thank you to many league members who make these events possible. To get more information about all candidates running in the 2021 election, the Kittitas League has created a nonpartisan online voters guide where you will find links to the candidates' websites and other helpful information. You can also get the information at vote411.org and the Washington State Secretary of State's office. We invite you to join us later tonight at 8:15 to 9:15 p.m. for the Ellensburg School District Forum, as well as tomorrow night at 6 p.m. for the Kittitas Mayoral Candidates Night. The link can be found at kittitasleague.org. Remember to vote for the candidate that best represents your views. Every vote counts. Your vote matters. And please join me by casting your ballot